PCSA for our cost of water. It's technically it's due every 3 years in 2026. If we do it now, by the time we get it, 2026 hits, we know that it is ready instead of it gets behind. Sometimes you get these audits and they take, I'd like to have it a little bit sooner. One, it's on time. Secondly, when it's done, it's, if there's a significant change, we can adjust that in our billing for 2020, fiscal year 2025, 26, instead of getting halfway through the year and then having to adjust, being faced to adjust our billing.
It's just basically the water we sell to the county.
Just to the county, yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have a different rate that is based on a certified audit of what the cost of water sewer is.
And we know that don't we already know that?
Well, we do, but that agreement that we did when we put Samuel Harris Lane meter in, and the agreement that's always pretty much been with the county is they only take audited numbers.
Okay.
So their numbers will be,
Well, that shouldn't be a big audit, should it?
it should not be hard. They've already done their audit, so they should just pull those numbers and take a stamp and go, this is our audited number. But that's what we hand it to PCSA, and then they don't, well, they might branch and argue, but they can't. At that point, it's theirs, so.
Explain this to me again, Nick. On the last sheet where it says allocate 328,000 from water sewer to town side. Cause I get so confused with that because they're not supposed to intermingle, but I'm just.
All right, so two separate budgets, you are correct on
Right.
that. But you have to remember that probably 90% of the efforts on, the water, on town side is work that's done for the water sewer side, billing, telephone calls, some of our repairs on the, maintenance side, those things in there. So you have to, you can pay yourself from one side to the other.
Administrative costs and stuff.
Well, it's labor, it's labor costs and actions costs.
And then the other on this page, and it says a plus 328, 320, and you know what I'm saying, English. If our revenue increases that much, right? Is that what you're saying, that we have a,
That's our revenue, what do you call it?
Projected.
Revenue versus expenses.
Yes, it's
Net gain.
net gain, thank you.
net,
I like
okay.
that.
Well, my rates aren't working either,
I like
like
that.
between the three of us, but if that is the case, that's a good looking number. So, would we have to increase the 5% this 1 year? Cause it's been pretty bad the past couple of years.
And we
Are you following me?
I am, so financially, no, we do not have to raise that up to, make money for next year on the water revenue. The problem the options are, you increase it because we're paying that cost to Infomark for the running of the plant, and that is based on the national average of the cost, CPI cost for that. If we don't, we get back in the trend line that we had for several years.
The what line?
Our trend line of not staying up with the CPI cost, and then also we made several, significant,
And we're selling water based on the CPI to these folks out in,
Mr. Chair, if I may,
off of Mill Creek Road.
correct, and it just sets a trend line of going, the expectation is going to be, we're gonna stay up with our costs, we're not asking for more, but we're gonna stay up with our cost.
if I may, Mr. Chairman, a quick comment. I appreciate you asking the question about the water sewer increase though. 'Cause it's great although we have a net gain of roughly $329,000, but frankly, because of the large increase we had last year for the water and sewer rate, I think it was for out of town, it was 10%, was it? And in town was about half that. I'm just not comfortable doing a 5% water sewer rate in this fiscal year. I'm just not comfortable. It's because what this is, we're dealing, even our out of town residents are just dealing with these massive increases. It's a huge jolt for them, like, I'm paying more again, and I just.
Well, the thing is, are we smarter than the CPI? I don't think we are.
Or with what?
Smarter.
Oh, yeah.
These figures are compiled, from a large bunch of numbers, you know, and, maybe this year, our production is better, maybe we're ahead of the curve, but what are you gonna do when I mean, we need some kind of increase, I assume, but, you know, maybe 5% is a little much.
5 is too much, I think.
Yeah, well, but that's what the CPI says, and that's how we've been billing other
Tell me
people.
the CPI again.
It's basically your consumer price index, and there is one that is just water and sewer costs nationwide, and then they break it down by region.
It's in the contract somewhere.
Well, that's what, and that's how our figures there.
And Infomark is definitely gonna charge us.
Oh, they are, they will charge there.
See, that's the problem. They gonna charge us, so we, I don't know, it's not a powerful thing to do, it really isn't.
Again, the reason I stick with, CPI is it's in the contract for what we are going to pay Infomark, in that contract. It's a national, average across, so it impacts everybody, you just have to decide whether we wanna stay up. By not staying up with the cost of inflation, then we will, we'll lose money. Are we gonna lose a lot? No, but again, our trend line for the past was that we weren't paying attention to and staying up with it. So either way, I mean, we are financially, we're in a good position, but we don't want to
It worse.
set it in a position where.
And it doesn't really help when you say, well, Gretna only charges this, and we're below Gretna, or that, that doesn't mean anything. They got their own operations, and so, we're not trying to compete with them, we're not trying to compare with them. We have to do what we got to do. I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying, it's, nobody wants to see any increases, and that's all we've been seeing for the last 4 years.
I'll just say this, I'm not against totally increasing it, but I mean, for the longest time, I recall, the CPI was like 2 to 3%, something like that. Now it's 5%.
You know where that's coming.
Is it 5% or is that what Infomark's charge?
No, they use a national, they just use a national, that's what theirs is based
So
on.
it's
Same
CPI?
water.
And that's, is that what First People index as well?
Mhm.
Everybody works off that, pretty much.
And that's why it's an industrial standard, financial standard.
Right, and so, are you saying pretty much, Nick, that if we do 5%, that's just sort of no gain, that we'll just come out?
It will stay at the same revenue rate, percentage rate that we are right now, because our cost will go up by 5%. Our main cost, known costs are with Infomark, so we're just meeting that offset.
We just blamed on implement. They charging us 5%, well, essentially, that's what it is.
But we voted for them to.
If they come in, if you want to, you can say what their actual one is. If they come in at 4.7 or 4.8, we can just match that. But
Well, suppose, next year it's another 5%.
again, that's the cost of, we either absorb the cost ourselves or we, share the cost with our customers.
Well, inflation has gone down just a smidge.
Yeah.
And so you might want to expect next year's going to be less. That's
I
next
don't
year.
know if I'll ask any questions.
That's next year. Well, oh no,
Yeah, we're
it's
on
kind of
that.
hard to explain really, because it's so many factors brought together, and that's how they come up with it. I don't know if you could explain it, but just say it's a CPI. Got any alternative, suggestions? Split the difference? 3% maybe?
I mean, do we have to make a decision today?
We need, the committee needs to have a segment on so that we can push it up, because we're gonna take these numbers to the finance, on the finance committee and say, here's the water sewer committee budget recommendation. We'll lay that next to it when finance takes a look at both the town side and theirs and go, yep, and then they'll bring it to council and everything.
And the budget has to be approved to advertise the day of the
Okay.
meeting.
Another question then, I heard you mention First Piedmont, are they also going up 5%?
Yes, that's what they.
And they base theirs.
So then that's gonna be another whammy.
I thought somebody, First Piedmont, they say they're way behind just, doing the CPI. They,
Well, they try to make up for that with
Yeah.
their fuel surcharge.
Well, that and other things, but there are other operations, you know, the propane, stuff like that. They say they got behind on that because they've just been going by CPI and they're not making, in other words, they're making the same money, this is how, you know, everybody knows that. Making the same money that they made 3 years ago, but percentage-wise, they're down, way down.